All right, once again, so we just finished talking about the binding of Isaac and this wolf and lamb reference, right? The comparison, metaphor of wolves and lambs. I want to talk a little bit about how the Jews are beginning to behave, because we see the Jewish prisoners really changing, right? We have the boy on the train who kills his own father for a piece of bread. That's when they are being transported, right? We have them being transported in the train cars. Elijah makes a comment about how many of them can fit in there, because they're so starved at this point. And I'm not going through everything in the book. If you're feeling like I've skipped things, it's because I'm just getting to the things that I think are the meat. So we have them on the train car, and a boy kills his own father for a piece of bread. And his father calls out to him, it's me, and I have bread enough for both of us. And the boy still beats his father to death for that bread. This is that change, right? They are turning. They are becoming animals. And Elijah has prayed over and over again. And this is why it's hard to believe that Elijah does not have religion anymore, because he constantly prays for the strength not to abandon his father. His father is becoming weaker. He's had to help him with marching. He has to protect him, right? He ran between the lines to get his father out of the line that was going to be sent to the crematorium after Dr. Mengele does another inspection, right? And his father seems too weak to be working anymore. And Elijah mixes up the line so his father can come back to the safe line, right? We see all these things happening. Elijah is taking that parental role. He's protecting his dad. And he keeps praying for the strength not to abandon him. When they have to finally flee, I think they were in Buna, and run to the next camp, Elijah sees Rabbi Elihu's son abandon him, because it's too hard to stay with these fathers, but Elijah can't do it. And he and his father help to keep each other awake. So we're really seeing this change where Elijah takes on all of the parental roles, and he constantly is asking God to give him strength. Provide me with the strength I need to keep my father alive. And the fact that his father is alive is something that keeps Elijah going. He knows that his father will not survive if he is dead. So he must stay alive for his father, and that becomes very important for him. And at one point, the need for survival surpasses the need for religious belief. And that's what we're seeing. Although he no longer does any of his religious practices, although he no longer sees God, he will pray for the strength to stay with his father, because he sees his father as the one thing that he needs. He needs him more than he needs a God. He needs to have someone with him, and that becomes very important for Elijah. So they keep each other awake when we are in that camp. Shlomo, that's Elijah's father's name, Shlomo, that's how you say it. Shlomo becomes very, very weak, and Elijah is bringing him bread. He has dysentery, is likely what he has. It's basically a disease that attacks your intestines, so you get the poops. You can't control yourself anymore. His stomach, his insides are kind of eating themselves. So he has probably dysentery. And we see this at the very end of the book, and his father is on the bunk, and the other prisoners are beating him because he's peeing the bed. He can't control himself anymore. He's not strong enough to get out of the bed to go to the bathroom anyways, and he probably can't tell what's happening with his body at this point. And Elijah is still sacrificing bread and soup for his father, and the other men ask him why he does it. You should double your rations, you'd have more if you just let your father go, and Elijah can't do it. And then at some point, he does abandon his father, right? He turns his head and ignores his father's pleas. And I mean, they're pleas for water, and he knows that if he gives his father water that he's going to be sick, but he also begins to hate his father for being sick, right? And at the end, when his father dies, Elijah feels something like relief, and he is grief-stricken over it, because he's relieved that his father is dead, and he doesn't have the burden of his father on him anymore. And that overwhelms Elijah. And that moment when he's relieved that his father is gone is also the moment when you could argue that his ideas about religion, all those moments that have been building up towards him no longer having that faith, that's gone as well, right? Because the two are so closely linked. And once his father is gone, there is nothing left for Elijah. He really feels as though the world is empty. And had they not been liberated, shortly after his father's death, Eliezer would not have survived. There's little likelihood that he would have made it through after his father was gone, because we see how closely tied the two were. The last video I'm going to talk about the Uliac, so let's do that.